Well, Freddie, we had fun last week.
Yeah, tell me about it. Andrea said it was much nicer without me around. So,
I don't think that was her exact words, but
Yeah, there might have been one word in there I might have been said it, but I don't think it was all of them.
hi, Lauren.
Sorry. Hey, Nicholas. Hey, everyone.
Nice to see you.
You.
Is this your first call?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, welcome. You've been missing out.
I know. Waiting. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm at my Airbnb, which is an old county jail. So I'm in the cell block. So these were all the old jail cells.
Oh my God.
Uh, and then there's 4 suites here. So I'm staying, and I gotta do some renovations here and some new decorations. But it's a pretty cool building. So I'm here thinking about how we imprison ourselves with our thoughts, and that's been my theme today. So I've been thinking about that.
yeah,
Have you got any ghosts there?
Goats or ghosts?
Or both?
No goats. We tell people it's haunted. They seem to like that, but I have no evidence of that.
Yet.
That's
all
right.
They're
those,
listening.
all those who are prisoners of their own mind, Nicholas and I have the keys.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
going to set you free.
What have you been doing hanging on to it, Freddie?
Sorry?
How come you've been hanging on to it this long then?
Well, I like to see people suffer. Wait for them to beg.
4 easy payments of $9.99, Nolene. You can have that key.
I'll get it duplicated.
That's right. That's right.
You do sound like you're in a prison, actually, Nick, I have to say.
He does echoes.
Echoing
echo?
everywhere, yeah.
Well, I'll let you do most of the talking today, Freddie.
Okay, well, did you want to start with anything? Or
I do, yeah. So I'll start real quick and then hand it over to you. So I'm reading this book. It's from a chapter on Charles Ledbetter on how clairvoyance is developed. It's from one of his books on what happens after you die. So it's a chapter excerpt, and there's a few thoughts I wanted to share with all of you. And this is some of what was based on last week's call when we were talking about thought forms and how thoughts kind of have their own energy and become their own thing. So he said the first step necessary towards the attainment of higher clairvoyance is concentration, which is control over the mind that you can do with it what you will and fix it exactly where you want to hold it for as long a period as you choose. This is not an easy task. It is one of the most difficult and arduous known to man, but it can be done because it has been done not once but hundreds of times by those whose will is strong and immovable. And then he kind of goes on to explain how we pick up other people's thoughts and people leave their thoughts behind. And he says, stop yourself suddenly when you are walking along the street and when you are riding in your car and see what you are thinking and why. Try to follow the thought back to its genesis, and you will probably be surprised to find how many desultory thoughts have wandered through your brain during the previous 5 minutes. Just dropping in and dropping out again and leaving almost no impression. So when you're not paying attention, like if you start, if I want to just focus on the feeling of my finger, how long can you hold that focus without something else wandering in? And he says if you can control your focus to focus on what you want for as long as you want, that's the first step to mastering your mind. And it can be trained and it can be practiced, and that's some of what we do, but through that focused concentration, especially on the end state or on the things you want, that's how you create thought forms that start to slow their vibration into physical reality, which is what we went over last week. How does that sound? Good for everybody? Makes sense? Yeah. Connects with last week? Does anyone have any, before we hand it over to Freddie, does anyone have any wins or stories from last week talking about thought forms and manifestation? And Jasmine, you missed it. You missed the best one. We were waiting for you.
I know, but like working in Europe and having clients on the West Coast gives us like very limited time frames.
I'm sure. The recording's up there. But does anyone want to share from last week?
Nicholas, what is the name of the book?
That the name of the, let me look it up. So this is called How Clairvoyance is Developed, but it's only a chapter excerpt. I would have bought the whole book. I think I did this on accident. Let me see if I can find that. I'll leave it in the comments.
Right, thanks.
I had a clairvoyant friend of mine coming to this group tonight, but he can't be here due to unforeseen circumstances.
You're too much, Freddie.
Anyway, that's my joke for this evening. Try not to laugh too hard.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming a mile away.
Well, you got the clairvoyant stuff, haven't you?
I got
it
the
all
book.
going,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say before I say it? It's very, very, it's a bit strange, really.
Sometimes we finish each other's,
Sentences.
I was going to say sandwiches, but close enough. All right. Without further ado, this is a great protocol that I've used with success. It's, well, you know what? I'll just let Freddie introduce it because it's his deal, but I'm looking forward to doing it with all of you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. So some of you might have read, I put a little note about what we're doing today, but Mike Mandel, when he read my book, I actually did ran some training for him in 2019. Nicholas was there, actually. It's the first time I met Nick. He was there as a student, standing in the corner most of the time with his face towards the wall. But he was a student there. And Mike Mandel said that if he could have written one thing, he would have written this Girl on the Train, which we're going to run tonight. And it's basically just a way of, sometimes we get caught, even though a relationship's over, even though, there's no way back to that relationship, there are certain things that spike. You might see a car, it reminds of that person, hear a song on the radio, things that still bring up that emotion. And whether sometimes it could be, you've had a traumatic relationship and you're still holding on to that fear. So I developed this, it's a metaphor really, and I'm going to run you through it at some point this evening. It's just really about saying goodbye and letting go of everything that was left to you from that relationship. And that's what we're going to do. But as Nick was talking about focus and, listening to those thoughts, having control of our thoughts and being able to focus, I'm also going to run you through, and I think we've done it before actually, a thing that I call TPM, which is Total Perception Management. The ability to have complete control of your emotions. And when I first broached the idea, I forget how many years ago it was now, and I just put out on Facebook, I think I have a way of taking, what I actually said was like negating all of your emotions. And someone said, if you could do that, surely doesn't that make you more robot than human if you can just switch off your emotions? And I thought about that for a while, but now having taught this for many years and using it myself, I would actually say it makes you a more advanced human being. Because until you have control of your emotions, you're a slave to your emotions. And most of us, because we don't realize we can take control of our emotions, we kind of indulge ourselves in it. Right, so just letting people in still. We kind of indulge ourselves in it. Someone cuts us up on the road, they've broken our rules, we're angry about it. We're never going to speak to that person, but because we're angry, we think I have a right to be angry, so we indulge ourselves in it. And the people who had nothing to do with that road situation kind of get the end of it. So there's lots of situations where we know that the emotion that we're feeling is either detrimental to us or detrimental to the people around us. And so I'm going to take you through this process where you can take back control of your emotions. And it became obvious to me that if you can negate an emotion, in other words, like switch off a negative emotion, anger, jealousy, frustration, whatever it is, if you can shut that off, then the other side of that coin is that you must be able to ramp up a positive emotion. So pleasure, passion, love, confidence, whatever it is that you're experiencing in that moment of a positive emotion, to be able to take that to the max. So I'm going to run this because the girl on the train, which I call this metaphor we're going to run, is not going to take very long. So I'm going to run you through what I call TPM, total perception management. You will have complete control of your emotions. Now, when I say we're going to negate an emotion, it's not, I don't care. It's what I call neutral. You know, most of our big decisions that we make in our life are made in an emotional state. And when we're emotional, we're not functioning optimally. You're not functioning optimally when you're angry. You're not functioning optimally, you know, when you're jealous. You're not functioning optimally when you're mad, crazy in love. You know, you're not functioning optimally when you're in any strong emotional state. So to be able to, if you need to make a big decision, if you need an answer to a question, to be able to take yourself to neutral, it's an incredible thing to be able to do. Because in neutral, you can make the right decisions. You can take the right actions. You can get the right outcome. So I'm going to show you how to go to neutral. And as I said, the other side of that coin is if you can go to neutral, then if you're experiencing a really good experience, then you can ramp that feeling up. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. And then I'm going to run you through this metaphor, which takes you, in which case you're any relationship that you've had in your life. And I know I won't name names, Andrea, but someone said, you know, what if there's a list of people from the past?
Thanks, Freddy.
Well, just to let you know that it's a very big carriage and you can get quite a few people in this carriage. So this is an opportunity to let it go, all right? Let all of that go because there's no point in living with it anymore.
So
I've had
Freddie,
clients, sorry?
real quick, Andrea made that comment on Facebook, and I was going to respond and say next week we're going to take the bodies out and dispose of them at the pig farm. But then I decided Facebook probably wouldn't like that and wouldn't think that was funny, so I didn't say anything. But that's next week's protocol. We're gonna dispose of the bodies.
Okay, yeah. Well, you're going to get rid of them for a start. They won't bother you anymore. They can go about their way and just leave you in peace. But I've had clients who 10 years after a relationship are still suffering in some way because of the hurt and the damage that's been done. When in reality, they're never going to see that person again. They're never even going to meet them again. But they're still carrying that trauma and that whatever it might be, hurt, pain, sadness, whatever it is that was there. So we're going to let go of all of that tonight. You can be prepared in the next hour to be free of past, free of any of those past relationships. So you can move on and move into any other new relationship without all that baggage, because we tend to carry it, don't we? And to be honest with you, it's not fair on the next person in your life. So that's what we're going to do this evening. So are there any questions about this at all? Or anything, you know, I'm like a DJ here. So any requests that you want while you're in hypnosis, you know, Freddie, can you just throw that in? Or can you just help me with that? Blan, you've got a hand up. Yeah? Switch his mic on.
Yeah. Hello. Hi, everyone. You'll never guess. I love coincidences, right? There is no such thing. So I had a dream dash nightmare last night that I was back in that situation. But I had to go back into the situation because of financial fear. Okay. So I woke up this morning saying, oh God. And then I'd say I was about 3 minutes awake. I went, oh my God, it was a dream. So when I was driving into work, I literally had tears of joy driving into work, free, safe, happy, everything. Then I was thinking it was my fear of financial worry. So obviously I'm still carrying that forward because I had to remortgage. So I had to take a financial burden for that freedom. And while I'm okay and I'm paying everything and it's grand, I was just thinking to myself, as you do, there must be a limiting belief that I'm still holding on to.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad agrees, and so
you know
is
what?
there something
It's
that
an opportunity.
totally free?
There's an opportunity this evening to let go, Blan.
Yeah,
because
absolutely thrilled.
you know that fear, that underlying fear that you have, and it's understandable, because we know about how we create a phobia. We have part of our brain which is called the amygdala, and it's probably the most primitive part of a human being. Every creature with a vertebrae has this area of the brain, and in a human, it's about the size of an almond. But every piece of information that comes in through our senses passes through the amygdala first before it reaches this frontal part of our brain where we can make a decision about it. I like to think of it as the gatekeeper. Everything that's ever hurt you in your life, either physically or emotionally, is stored in the amygdala. And if you like, it's a pattern matching kind of machine. If you've been frightened of spiders and someone just throws a tomato stalk at you, it's a close enough match for you to jump. Then you'll realize it's the tomato stalk. But that first initial pattern matching thing will happen. So, in your situation where, you've been through an experience where, you've had the fear of, financial problems through a relationship or whatever it was, in that moment, when you felt that fear, then in the same way as if a dog jumps up and bites you, that process or that program would have been laid down. And then of course it stays with you because I think you've got a little girl, haven't you? Or you've got a daughter, haven't you? So all of those things, when you've got another layer of responsibility as well. But now you know that you're capable, and it's time to let go of any irrational fear that you have. And it's time to do it. Do it tonight. We'll let that go with anything you're still carrying from any past relationship. It's an opportunity to just give it back, if you like, and let it go. You'll see when we get through this. But from today, you'll find yourself free to be able to live your life the way you want to live it, free of any irrational fears or any of those things. And we can do all that today. And not only will you be free of any pain or hurt or fear and anxiety from past relationships, you'll have complete control of your emotions. So when when we get back into, and I'm not saying that I don't know your situation, but if we're moving into a new relationship, to be able to do that in that state of neutral, I'm not saying don't get into it and don't get passionate, but understand that when we're in an emotional state, we're not making the best decisions, really. And I know my son cringes when I say it, but I say never decide to get married when you're madly crazy in love with someone, because that's not the time to make that decision. You're not thinking straight when you're madly in love. Wait until 3 or 4 months in, you're having a cup of tea together, you don't know what to say to each other. And if you still think you want to live your life with that person, make that decision then. Not when you can't wait to get at them. That's not the time to make that decision. So to be able to go to neutral in any situation, I believe it's a poem. I think it might be, I don't know, it's Kipling or Yeats or one of those people where he says, if you can keep your head while all around are losing theirs, a better man you'll be, or something like that. And that's really what we're talking here about. In any situation where it's kind of crazy and you need to be in a state where you can think straight, to be able to go to neutral emotion is a great thing to do. And of all the things I've created and developed, I believe that TPM is the most beneficial, because once you have control of your emotions, you have control of everything else. And Nick was talking about controlling your thoughts, but it's all part of the same thing. When we recognize that nothing exists outside of our skull except as perception, and that goes for all of your thoughts, goes for all of your emotions, it goes for everything. And so once we realize that, we can choose our thoughts with the criteria: does this thought empower me or not? It's the same with our beliefs. We can say, for me, it's very simple. Is this belief I have empowering me or not empowering me? Because I can choose to believe something else, because none of it is real. And our emotions, once we can get control of our emotions, then your life changes. And I promise you it's going to change. And we are going today to just let go of the past and recognize that the past. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, I just wanted to raise my hand for a question, but don't mean to interrupt your thought.
No, come on, no, fine.
I'm curious on like the positive emotional. So when you're saying get free from our emotions, because I like what you just said about don't make a decision when you're in a heightened positive state. Could you talk?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't say that. I'm saying if you're going to make a big you're not making the best decisions. You're not functioning optimally when you're any kind of emotional state, whether it be heightened, whether it be whether it be fear, whether it be passion, whether it be madly in love, whatever that emotion is, any heightened emotion, you're not making the best decision. If you think about any strong memory you have from the past, any strong memory you have from the past, you'll find there's a big emotional attachment to it. It's why if we want to remember something, my son and I, Anthony and I, we travel all over the world and we have this little competition on wherever we're going to see who can learn as much of the language as we can before we go there. And, sometimes it might be weeks, it might be only a couple of months before we go there. And I believing what I believe about heightened emotion and memory, because if you think about hypnosis, for me, it's very easy to hypnotize someone. If I can create an emotion, then it opens that person up to a suggestion. And the reason that being, if you look back at any of your memories, your strong memories, there'll be an emotional attachment to it. So if we want to remember something, whatever it is, if you're doing, if you're studying for an exam, or if you're learning hypnosis, or you're learning a language, if you can remember to get into and I would suggest it's a heightened positive emotion. So for me, I listen to this thing on Audible called Pimsleur Languages, and what I do is before I start listening to the language, I will think about one of my kids, or I'll think about someone I love, and I'll get into that heightened emotional state, and then I'll listen to the words, because it's like, how many of you are driving along and a song comes on the radio and you know all the words, but you didn't purposely remember those words, but because the song created an emotion in your life at some point, you'll remember the words. And so it's the same when we if we want to, I understand what you're saying, Lauren. You're saying about, what about a positive emotion? Is that when that's not the time to make a decision. But if you're in a positive state, you're with your family or you're with your partner and you're feeling love and you're feeling passion or whatever it might be, the ability to ramp that feeling up. You're not going to make a decision at that time, but you can make a decision to ramp it up. And why shouldn't we, experience our life at its max, and especially the joy in our life and the love in our life and the passion we feel in our life? To be able to do that, to have complete control of that, but also to recognise, and there's a few men here, so I'm going to aim it at us, because I think it's more men than women, to recognise when we're behaving badly, when we're using an emotional state, we're wallowing in an emotional state of anger or jealousy or rage or frustration or whatever it might be, to recognize that and to be big enough to say, this emotion is detrimental to me and the people around me. And to be able to recognize that and go to neutral and then make another decision. That's the hard part for most of us, to recognize when we're behaving badly, but then also to recognize that whatever emotion we're feeling, good and bad, are only chemicals. I know it kind of brings us down, but are only chemicals and electrically excitable cells and all of those things that I don't understand in our brain. That's all it is. And any of our emotions, and also who we think we are, can be changed, and I know this sounds terrible, with a scalpel or a blunt instrument. Everything you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, can be changed in that instant. Some years ago, I saw a girl for smoking, and I always ask the question, when did you start smoking? And this girl said, I started when I was 28. I said, well, that's kind of a strange age to start smoking. Most people start smoking as kids. And she said, yes. She said, what happens? I was an air hostess. She said, and I was driving home from Gatwick Airport. I was in a car crash. She said, and I was thrown from the car, and I was sitting on the grass verge beside the car, She said, and because I was an air hostess, I'd bought some 200 cigarettes for a friend. She said, I didn't smoke at the time, but I bought 200 cigarettes for a friend. And she said, but she had complete amnesia. Someone had stopped to help her. They assumed that she was a smoker, so they gave her a cigarette. She didn't know that she didn't smoke. So that's when she started smoking. She said the worst thing was when she was in hospital, this man turns up with his 10-year-old child that she didn't know. It was her husband and her son. And she had no idea who they were. And she said the thought of having to go home with this stranger and this kid that she knew nothing about. So that was how quickly who we are, what we are, who we love can be changed. And so none of it exists outside of our skull. Then we know we can take, if we have the tools, we can change it. And we can decide on our thoughts, because our mind are full of thoughts, aren't they? It's never quiet. Your brain's never quiet. And so, but every now and again, a thought will pop up that a conscious mind will go, oh, that seems interesting. But it's only those interesting or, novel thoughts that catch the conscious mind's attention. But there are thousands of thoughts going on. And so we can decide, and I know this sounds a hard thing to say, we can decide how we want to feel. We can recognize that none of it is real. And we can say, is this thought empowering me? Is this belief empowering me? Is this emotion empowering me? If not, I can change it. I know it sounds too simplistic, but it is, it's true. I say, what if you could just decide to be happy and just say, I'm going to be happy today. That's it. And then be happy, because I believe all of these things are possible. So we're going to give you control of your emotions. You're going to see this, Lauren, and you can choose then. It does not make us a lesser being. Honestly believe, and I know this sounds crazy, I think that when enough people have control of their emotions, and then they have children, I believe that having complete control of your emotions is the next evolutionary step for mankind. I know it's a big thing to say, but that's what I believe. Because right up until this moment in time, we have all been slaves to our emotion. So to be that person in any situation who can take control and stay calm. I know some of these surgeons are like it, where they can, they're operating on a child or whatever, and they have to stay in neutral. You can't get emotional in those situations because you're not functioning properly. And that's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about, I don't care. I'm talking about being in neutral, where you can make the right decision, take the right actions, get the right outcome. So that's what we're going to do. Thanks for the question. Does that make sense to you, Lauren? Good. All right. Okay. Any other questions before we get into this tonight?
Yeah, I have a question, Freddy.
Oh, hi. Hi, Diana.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Not
Thanks.
freezing too much today?
Damn what?
It's so cold today in the UK. It's a very
It's freezing. It is, yeah.
So the question may be a bit unusual, but sometimes I need this. So basically, is there a way to control our physical needs, at least for a while, such as thirst, hunger, maybe others, like need of, it sounds weird, but I sometimes need it for different purposes. I don't know if it's an emotion, it's more like, it's a need, right? It triggers emotion.
Yeah, we obviously, it's instinctive. We need to eat, we need to drink water.
For a while.
It's instinctive. But if our eating and drinking is driven by emotion, then we don't need to do that. And some of you are therapists and some of you help people with weight loss. And a lot of your weight loss clients are overweight because they eat emotionally. And just if you could give this technique to your weight loss clients, so when they're feeling emotional and they know they're going to eat, just to go to neutral, and that's the time to go neutral, to remember that you have the control over that. And so, I know Nicholas, and he did believe this or not, this is how strong his mind is. He did a 21-day water fast. That is 21 days without food. And that is mental control. I do 3 days at a time. I've just did a 24-hour water fast. But it's just about saying, this I can do. You know, most of the time, what we're saying to ourselves, I just can't do that. I can't go X amount of time without without a cup of tea. I have to have a cup of coffee in the morning. What we say to ourselves ultimately is what we feel and what we do. But I believe all of you, because I've seen you and met you enough times, anytime you want to, you can set your mind and say, today, I'm going to do this, and then commit to it. But, having a big enough reason to do it is one of those things. I've said it to you, all of you. I think Lauren's quite new here, but, I say there are 5 questions when it comes to creating a life we want. And 2 of them are Sandra Grace's, and they're the best questions in the world. I don't know if you know Sandra Grace, but she's a therapist in America. But her 2 questions, and I know I've probably bored you with this because I've said it enough times. Her 2 questions are the most important questions in the world. And she asks these questions, and I ask it of my clients now. The first one is, what has to happen for you to love yourself enough to treat yourself to the health and the happiness that you want? What has to happen for you to love yourself enough? That's the question. And I think it's the most important question we can ask ourselves. And the second question, which is equally as important, is if you're not living the life you want now, if you're not as well as you can be, if you're not as happy as you can be, if not, why not? Answer those 2 questions honestly. Now, I tag my 3 questions on. And when it comes to things like physical goals, even career goals, financial goals, if you answer these 3 questions honestly, you can change your life for sure. And my 3 questions is this: what do you want? Most of us know what we don't want. And most of the clients that come to see me, when I ask them how I can help, they'll spend 20 minutes telling me what they don't want anymore. I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be afraid. That's what my clients tell me. But what we have to realize is that the unconscious mind, which you're all getting an insight to, I know you're using it and helping other people. The unconscious mind is a super powerful tool. And it exists for 2 reasons. It wants you to be happy and it wants you to be well. It will do everything to make that happen for you. But it's ancient. The unconscious, subconscious part of your brain is pretty much the same as it was 2 million years ago. And it's geared to get everything you want. But it has no logic. Now, negatives only exist in language. They do not exist in any other form in the universe. In the universe, things exist. Only in language do things not exist. It only makes sense for me to say there is not a cat sitting on your desk. That only makes sense in language for me to say there is not something sitting there. Do you get that? The conscious part of our brain, this frontal lobe, has only developed in human beings over the last 150 to 200,000 years. So in a whole 85 million years of our evolution, we've only had that part of our brain for a very small period of time. But that's the part of our brain that has the Broca's area, which is involved in speech and language. Now, because your subconscious mind was around before language existed, it can't process a negative. So when I say to you, don't think about the person you love most, don't see that person smile, what happens? You immediately see their face. Now that works brilliantly in sales. If you know what the criteria for someone buying your product is, let's say you're selling them a car, and you know the criteria for that person buying that car is that it has to be economical. If you say to the client, this car's economical, they can believe you or believe you not, because as adults, we build up a defense against flattery in sales. But if you say to the client, don't think about the 50 miles to the gallon you're going to get from this car, have a look at the quality of your seats. They have no defense against that. They have to think about the money they're going to save. Do you get that? Now that works brilliantly in sales. Where it works against us is when we say, I don't want to put any more weight, or I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want another crappy relationship. I don't want to be angry. Because the moment you say, I don't want that, you have to picture yourself doing it. It's impossible not to. Any more than, they say, don't think about pink elephant. It's the same. If you say, I don't want to be unhappy, you visualize yourself unhappy. If you say, I don't want to put any more weight, you visualize yourself with that weight on. And your unconscious mind will get you everything you're focused on. Getting back to what Nick was saying about focusing on our thoughts, your unconscious mind will get everything you're focused on. And if all you're focused on is what you don't want, that unfortunately is what you're going to get. This is what my clients say to me, and I'll show you what I mean by this. Running out of paper. I'll put it crudely. Okay, my clients will come in and they'll say that, all right? Or you can read it. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to smoke. I don't want to be fat, all right? That's what they tell me. Bear in mind what I've just said. Your conscious mind will get for you everything you're focused on. The unconscious mind cannot process the negative. So when we're saying that to ourselves, that doesn't register. And that's the message your brain's getting. Over these next few days, you're going to recognize when you're saying to yourself, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want that to happen. I don't want this to happen. What I'd ask you to do is immediately change it to the positive and state what you do want. I want to be 9 stone as opposed to I don't want to put on any weight. I want to be happy as opposed to I don't want to be unhappy. I want to be fit and well as opposed to I don't want to be ill. It's so important that we change. If you just did this one thing, and if you've got kids, it's so important. It's so easy to say to your kids, don't be naughty. Don't beat your sister up. I say to my kids, look, don't play out in the street. You look out the window, there they are in the street. You think a defiant little sod. What you should say is stay in the garden. Because the don't doesn't register. And it's the same for ourselves. So think about what you're saying to yourself. You're going to catch yourself saying it now I've mentioned it. And state what you want in the positive. Does that make sense to you, Diana?
Yeah.
I know, I don't know you that well, but I've spoken to you quite a lot. And I know that if you set your mind on something, you can do it. But you have to say, I can do it. Not that I'm always going to fail at this. So what's the point? Because I'm going to fail at it anyway. No, you have to say, I can do this. When I used to run the groups of smoking, these 200 people at a time in these conference rooms, I would say to myself, I'm going to remember everybody's name as they walk through the door. And it got to the point where I could remember maybe 150 people as they walked through the door. And one day, because during those quit smoking groups, I'd have like a restroom or toilet break or bathroom break, or whatever you want to call it, depending where you are in the world. And it was a 10-minute break. And I'd say, in the meantime, if anyone's got a phobia, come up. Now, sometimes 20 people will come up with different phobias. In that 10 minutes, we could eliminate all those phobias. But one day a guy came up and he said to me, I haven't got a phobia, he said, but he said, I want to be able to do what you do. He said, because I can't remember more than 2 people's names. And I said, you're right. He said, what do you mean I'm right? I said, you're right. You can't remember more than 2 people's names. I said, because you've just said you can't. And that's what happens. You know, he said, I've got a terrible memory. I can't remember people's names. Of course, you're not going to remember it. You know, we have to state what we want. It's the most important thing in when it comes to creating our goals. So my first question is, what do you want? Forget about realistically. What do you truly want? How much money do you want to earn? How many clients do you want to see? What kind of body do you want? What do you absolutely want? That's the number one question. The second question is this: what do you need to do to make that happen? And most of you already know that. You know, if it's a physical goal, most of you will know what you need to do to create that body you want. So most of us know those two questions, but the third question I ask is where most of us will fall down. And the third question is this: what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to create that life you want? Answer those questions. Sandra's questions. What has to happen for you to love yourself enough? If you're not happy and living the life you want now, if not, why not? And then decide what you absolutely want. Let go of any limitations. You know, I've known some of you for weeks and months now, and I know what you're capable of. What do you want? What do you need to do to make it happen? And what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to put your phone down for 2 hours and focus on your business for those 2 hours? Are you willing to give up the sweet food for a week or give up sugar completely to create the body you want? What are you willing to do? Because it's out there for you. Just have to say, I want it. And it's easy to make excuses. You know, I'm started doing that all the time, you know, because I can say, well, you know, I'm this old. It doesn't matter really. You know, who cares anyway? And I could easily just say, I'm going to sit in the chair, rock myself towards my grave, do some knitting or something. I don't know. But, you know, and it's our brain makes up excuses for us, doesn't it? For why we're not living the life we want. The conscious mind continues to make stuff up to justify why we're not achieving what we want, to justify why we behave in a certain way, because it doesn't want us to feel bad. But recognizing when that thought comes in, it's just an excuse. And then clearing that thought out. Because as Nick was saying earlier, if you focus. Now, the great Zig Ziglar, he said, when it comes to thoughts, he said you could take biggest pile of dry straw on the hottest day of the year and take a big magnifying glass and put the magnifying glass above that bale of straw. He said, and nothing's going to happen, providing you keep moving the glass. He said, but the moment you hold that glass still and you focus the energy of the sun through that magnifying glass onto that straw, boom, you have a fire. And that's really what Nick was saying about earlier. You know, if we really focus, we can change pretty much anything. And I believe that's what hypnosis does. I believe, you know, like we can think, okay, well, I want to lose some weight. And, you know, earlier on, I had to wait for my friend. And she was buying some milk. And I wonder how my Aunt Mary's cat is. Before you know it, you know, you were thinking, I want to lose some weight. Before you know it, you're thinking about your Aunt Mary's cat. Because our mind goes on that kind of thing. When it comes to hypnosis, when you're in trance in a while, I'm going to keep you focused on what you want to achieve here. Everything else is periphery for that period of time. And I believe that's why hypnosis is so powerful, because we can keep you focused on the things that you truly want. Your fiddly, piddly little conscious mind can be thinking, what's he saying that for? What's she saying that for? And while that's going on, your unconscious mind's going, what do you want? What do you absolutely want? And it's going to do it for you. So anyway, let's get into this, because I've been running off, and you know, I always say you can start me up, but shutting me up is something completely different. So I'm going to take you into that space where you can get complete control of your emotions. And then I'm going to take you into that space of total unconditional self-love. And then we're going to cut all the ties to any relationships from your past that no longer serve you. So you can be free to make the decisions you want. Okay. You all right there, Alison? I'm hoping you're not driving. Okay. Because those two things don't mix. Eyes closed and driving at speed. I found that out at the time. So, you know,
You,
I'm good.
you need to
I'm
work
good.
on your clairvoyance, Freddie,
Yeah.
and then you'll get that driving with your eyes closed thing down.
I've done that. Be honest with you, I've done that once, and it was pretty scary when I came to. And luckily, I was still in one piece, and so was everyone else. But it's not a pleasant thought. Yes. So, right, I'll practice that. Practice that, Nick. I did see a woman once. She said she was a medium, but she looked like she was a large. I didn't mention it at the time. But anyway, that's my second joke of the evening. So they're both good. Right. Anyway, let's get into this. Are you all ready to have complete control of your emotions? Right. Get comfortable. Make sure you're in a safe place. And when you're ready to do this, just place your feet separately, place your hands separately. And when you're ready to lose yourself into this and get complete control of your emotions, just take a breath in, hold it for a moment. And as you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. Only as quick as you're ready to make these changes in your life. That's right. And for a moment, focus on those tiny muscles around your eyes. Imagine having your scalp massaged and those muscles are relaxing completely. Having your temples massaged. That's right. And let those eyes relax so completely they just won't work. Get a sense of that happening as you listen to my voice. Every word I say relaxes them more and more. And as you relax your eyes, I'd like you to, just for a moment, think about the people you love, people that love you, or someone who loves you. Maybe think about the people you've helped in your life with your words and your kindness. And feel that love right now. And as you feel that love, notice that your eyes have relaxed so completely they just won't work for a while. And when you realize your eyes are so relaxed they just won't work, you can test them, find it completely locked. That's right. Now nothing bothers or affects you, nothing disturbs you. I'm going to say the word love, and as you hear that word, that feeling of relaxation around your eyes will just flow down through your body like a bliss anesthesia. But no matter how relaxed your body and mind become, the chair will support you. Love. Feel that feeling just washing down through your body. Get a sense of that happening. Every muscle, nerve, and fiber relaxing automatically. Like a handful of rubber bands just thrown on that chair, loose and relaxed. And every word I say now takes you deeper and deeper, down toward a place of peaceful, calm, inner awareness. A place that almost seems to give off signals that directs awareness down toward it, into it. More and more comfortably, more and more effortlessly, more and more completely and deeply than before. Or even the effort it takes to be aware of the sound of my voice or the meaning of my words may almost seem to be too much effort to bother making. It's so much easier simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. Allowing events to occur in your own time, in your own way, a drifting down. Deeper, deeper, deeper down, just dropping down through space and time. Nothing bothers or affects you, nothing disturbs you. And just when you think you've reached the ultimate space, profound hypnosis and bliss, my voice, my words will take you 10 times deeper. Get a sense of that happening automatically. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. Every word I say doubles that feeling. Everything I say now is your reality. Every suggestion I give you, your mind and body will act upon. At a molecular, cellular, neurological level, it's now your reality. You have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. That unconscious mind, the back of the mind, that instinctive, intuitive part of your being that's monitoring your heartbeat, that beats the heart, that breathes the breath, that's scanning the environment, keeping you safe, that runs that automatic healing ability, can continue to hear, to understand and respond to those things I might say without the need for you to do anything at all. It's so much easier for the conscious mind simply to relax and enjoy that letting go, allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way, letting go even of the effort it takes to make the effort that it might take, to tell the exact position of arms, legs, or the entire body now that seems to drift through time and space. That wonderful free floating place of effortless relaxation and letting go. In a moment, you will have the most incredible experience of liberation and freedom. Because in a moment, the essence of who you are, that intangible part of a human being, the passenger, the observer in that physical body, will separate out through the top of your head, out through what's known as the crown chakra. Get a sense of that happening, just drifting up, out through the top of your head and leaving your body in that chair for a while. And as you drift away from your body, I want you to look back at that body and show it some appreciation. How incredible is your body? Because it is the most incredible creation. And notice as you drift away from your body, how the essence of who you are is ageless. It's infinite. It has no edge. How incredible are you? Notice also that the essence of who you are is pure energy, pure intelligence, light and love. That is who you are. That is how you came into this world. And anything that is not that is not you, was learned. You are pure energy, light and love. Get a sense of drifting even higher, drifting up out of that building, drifting up into the sky, drifting so high that you could look back at this beautiful planet we're living on. Get a sense of that beautiful blue planet spinning through space and time. The whites of the clouds and the mountaintops, the greens of the forest and the blues of the ocean. Get a sense of that now. How incredible is this planet we live on? And as you look at the planet from way off, notice how your perspective changes. Things that had seemed overwhelming no longer have any power over you at all. Things that had seemed hard or difficult to overcome no longer have any power over you. And now in your mind's eye, get a sense of a target or a spinning vortex of lights. And in the center of that target, in the center of that vortex, is every negative emotion that you've ever experienced and some you've never experienced yet. Anger, malice, hurt, pain, sadness, frustration, every negative emotion that was ever placed on you is in the center of that target. And in a moment, I'm going to make this sound. As I make that sound, you'll be fired, sucked into that spinning vortex of light. And as you go through that target, every negative emotion will be wiped from your mind and body in a microsecond, and you will enter a state of neutral emotion. And it may seem strange for some of you because you may have never experienced neutral before. But in neutral, you can make the right decisions. You can take the right action, get the right outcome. So get ready as you hear that sound. You're going to be fired, shot like an arrow, sucked into that vortex, and every negative emotion you've ever experienced be gone from your body and mind. Get ready. And now you're in that space of neutral. Nothing bothers or affects you. Nothing disturbs you. You are in a state of neutral where you can make the right decisions, take the right actions, get the right outcome. I'm going to say the word now. And as you hear that word is going to anchor to that feeling of neutral. Now. And from today, whenever you need to enter neutral, to make a decision, to negate a negative emotion, you just say the word now with the intention of going to neutral. You will instantly go to this state of neutral. From today, whenever you need to think straight or make a decision or negate a negative emotion, you say the word now and you will instantly go back to this state of neutral where you have complete control of your thoughts. Now, once again, get a sense of drifting up, further away from this planet this time. Get a sense of that planet spinning off into space, that feeling of freedom and liberation. And once again, in your mind's eye, get a sense of that target or that spinning vortex of lights. And this time, in the center of that target, in the center of that vortex, is every positive emotion you've ever felt. Love, passion, joy, happiness, ecstasy, every positive emotion you've ever experienced in the center of that target. But this time, when I make that sound and you go through that spinning vortex of light, your mind and body will be flooded with those intense, wonderful, positive emotions. Some of you haven't experienced yet, and I want you to enjoy every moment. Get ready. As I make that sound, you're going to enter a state. If your body and mind will be flooded with those positive emotions, get ready. I want you to enjoy every moment. Now you're in that space. Feel your body being flooded with that feeling of unconditional self-love, of love and joy and happiness. Feel it getting stronger and stronger. And from today, whenever you want to ramp up a good emotion, no matter where you are, what you're doing, you want to ramp that feeling up, you just say the word love in your mind with the intention of ramping up that emotion. Hear that word in your mind now, love. And each time I say it, those feelings are going to get stronger and stronger. Love, feel that feeling of love and passion and pleasure flooding through your body. Love from today. Whenever you want to ramp up a good emotion, a positive emotion, you just hear that word in your mind, love, with the intention of ramping that feeling up. And you'll instantly ramp that feeling up. That's right. And so as you drift in that beautiful space, with that feeling of unconditional self-love and empowerment, just for a moment, we're on a railway station platform. One of those old railway stations you see out in the countryside. There's no one else on that platform. We're just waiting for that train. And you can hear it, that train coming in the distance. And watch as that train pulls in. It's one of those old trains with those slam shut doors. And as it pulls in, you get into one of the carriages. And you sit down in that carriage. You shut that door and sit down in that carriage. And the train starts to move down the tracks. You can hear the sound of the tracks, train on the tracks. And you notice beside you, there are two big traveling suitcases. You feel the weight of them. And as you feel the weight of them, the train pulls into the next station. The door opens and someone gets on. It may be more than one person, but you know those faces. You know that smile. You know that voice. And that person sits opposite you. You can see that face, see that smirk, hear that voice. Now, in those two suitcases is all the hurt and pain, embarrassment, anger, every horrible thing they ever did to you is in those suitcases. All the stuff they left you with, the hurt and the sadness and the pain and the embarrassment, everything that was put on you. Be brave about this. Because as you move down the track, that train pulls into the next station. I want you to lean over and thank that person for any pleasure they might have given you. And when you're ready, I want you to push those suitcases over and give them back. Open the door and watch that person get off that train with those two heavy suitcases. Hear the door slam shut. And you can see that person or those people standing on the platform, weighed down with those heavy bags with all the rubbish from your past. Everything that's ever hurt you, everything that's ever caused you pain, all the embarrassment, the hurt, the sadness, all the fear and anxiety that was left with you is in those suitcases. And as the train starts to pull out the station, you can see those faces or that face getting smaller and smaller. You can hardly make out the features now. Watch as that face and that person turns into a little dot in the distance. And in your mind's eye, you can watch that person dragging those suitcases behind them. They have all that weight back. They have all of that stuff back, never to affect you again. And as the train moves down the track, you can hear the sound of the wheels on the track and feel that thing of freedom. And as the train pulls into the next station, there on the platform are all of those people that love you. All of the people that care and want the best for you. You can see those faces, see those smiles. Open that door, step off that train and step into those arms and feel that feeling of love. Because you are love and you are loved and you are loving. And now you are free. Free of the past. Free to be. Free of all the hurt and pain and sadness that you were carrying along with you. And feel that lightness of being. And feel that love those people feel for you. You are love, you are loved, and you are loving. And from today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience any of that pain from the past, any of the sadness, any of the fear from the past. You are free to be. And notice as you feel those arms around you and you feel that love, you repeat the word love in your mind with the intention of ramping up those beautiful feelings and feel that love growing stronger and stronger. How incredible are you? Because now you have complete control of you and you are free, free of the past, free to be. Get a sense of it now, a lightness of being you haven't felt for years, and a new understanding of just how incredible you are, because you are the most incredible creation. Get a sense that's happened. Imagine that you are free of the past, and imagine there's nothing you can do about that now. The harder you try to remember what it felt like, the further away it goes, replaced by that feeling of unconditional self-love. And know you are worthy of it. It may be interesting for you to know that in that relaxed, drifting state of mind where those thoughts drift by like dreams, some enter the mind, some drift through the mind, some are left behind to be used later on. Others are remembered or seem to be remembered at first, but then become more and more distant, forgotten over time. This entire experience may seem so far away. like a dream you had. As the unconscious mind protects the conscious mind, leaves those things behind, forgotten, but remembered too. Time changes too. So you'll know what a trance it's been. When you begin to know what seemed to be a short time turned out to be a long time, or what seemed a long time was really no time at all. And so as you drift in that beautiful space of unconditional self-love, freedom, it's your privilege. Use this experience. Think about the things you can do. Strengths, abilities, skills, the love you may have overlooked before, that will allow you a clear view of the possibilities of a new way of living, a new way of being. Take that time now, a brief time, seems to be a long time. Every irrational fear gone from your mind. Imagine that's happened, and there's nothing you can do about that. Get a sense of that now. The harder you try and remember what it felt like to be anxious or afraid, the more courageous, the more empowered you become. Imagine that's happened. There's nothing you can do about that. Because now you have complete control of you. Take that time now. Think of something you'd love to do, a way you'd love to feel, something you'd love to achieve. Let go of every limitation, because they were never yours in the first place. And get a sense of yourself doing that, achieving that, creating that. And notice the way you move and the way you breathe. Step into that body, feel into it, get a sense of what it feels like to be free of the past, free to create, free to be. Get a sense of that now and ask this question. How much fun is this? How much fun can I make it? Because now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature, your mind, your body is inclined toward making it happen. That's right. Feel that finger drifting as light as a feather, free of all earthly ties, and understanding your body is the most incredible creation, but it's not you. And nothing that happens to your physical being can ever touch you, the essence of who you are. Because the essence of who you are is pure energy, pure intelligence, light and love. Anything that's not that was learned and not you. From today, with that new understanding, you're going to enter every situation completely in control of you. To choose to be happy. To choose to enjoy every moment. In a moment, I'm going to count to 10. Every suggestion I've given you, your mind and body will act upon. On 8, your eyes will open. You will feel incredible because you are incredible. And on 10, this wonderful feeling of freedom, unconditional self-love, going to grow stronger day by day. And from today, whenever you're experiencing a positive emotion, you just say the word love in your mind with the intention of ramping that feeling up. And it gets stronger and stronger. And from today, if you want to negate a negative emotion, or you need to enter neutral to make the right decision, you just say the word now with the intention of going to neutral. So get ready. 1, feeling wonderful. 2, to create the life you want by helping others create the life they want. 3, a feeling of freedom, free of every limiting belief. Get a picture of that person dragging those suitcases behind them. Try not to laugh. That's right. How incredible are you? 4, feel a force of that love and freedom now. 5, feeling incredibly alive. 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely wonderful. 9, 10. Did you notice that one of those suitcases had a squeaky wheel on it as well? Makes it even worse. Just picture that person with that squeaky wheel on that suitcase, dragging it behind them. We're just waiting for a few people to come back into the here and now. They're still in a land of dreams and wonder. It's great to see you, Lauren. Good to see you here. Excellent to see you. Just waiting for the others to come back. We know that Diana, she likes a wake-up call from all of us. I think Tom's coming back to the real world slowly but surely. He's back. Martina's still there. Should give it a couple more minutes. Oh, Stefan's still. Look, he's in the woodland. I hope it's not too cold there where he is. It's freezing over here. Wow, Stefan. Welcome back. Right. I think first we'll go for Martina first. On a count of 3, switch your mics on. On count of 3, we're going to wake Martina up. Don't worry. Get ready. On the count of 3, you all ready? Got your mics on. Switch your mics on. Then we got to go to Diana because she'll be there all week otherwise. Ready? On the count of 3, we're going to shout Martina, and then we're going to shout Diana. See if we can get them both in the room. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Martina. Diana. Yes, we got them back.
There they are.
There they are. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it.
Glad I'm not the only one that falls asleep.
Okay. Well, look, it's been great seeing you all. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to use the power. You know, there's no reason you should suffer from any negative emotions.
I have the power.
You have the power. Yes. And so utilize it. And then remember, if you hear any negative voice in your head, change it to what you do want. If we just change these few things, there's very little that you cannot achieve. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. We can see you there. Good.
Freddy, I have the power thing was a post-hypnotic suggestion from an event in 2022 that Allison attended. So anytime she hears it, she immediately responds to it now, right?
Yeah. Well, the truth is, you know, all joking aside, the truth is we do have the power within us. There is very little that we cannot change. You know, physically, it's just a matter of how badly do I want to feel that good. You know, all of you here, you know, super intelligent. You know what you need to do. When it comes to physical goals, it's just about knowing you are worthy of doing it and want it for yourself. You know, so just think, why do I want to do this? And put everyone else out of your mind. You know, just say, what does this mean to me? How do I want to feel? And then make it happen. There is very little you cannot achieve. Oh, Sarah, nice to see you. Got a hand up.
Hey, Freddie. Yeah, so I sort of identify as an empath, and I found myself during the hypnosis feeling bad there were 2 people with the bags that had the luggage, and I felt bad at one point for giving them the luggage. And so
you'll get over that in the next 2 minutes. Don't worry. It's just a suggestion, but you know, we can only. It's like when we're working with our clients, we can only deal with the person in front of us. You know, we can't really we can't make judgments by empowering the person in front of us, how that impacts on the people around them. And it's the same when it comes to what serves you. Ultimately, you know, we can only change our own lives. You know, we can help others see that they can change their lives, but we are responsible for our own happiness. And if you're not happy, you know, sooner or later, if you're in a relationship, you're not happy, it's going to come apart. In my mind, it may as well be sooner than later, because you can waste a lot of years in the wrong relationship. And the truth is, we know, don't we? We know in our heart, we know in our mind, you know, that, and it's tough, isn't it? Lots of reasons why people stay in relationships. Part of it's fear, you know, fear of being on your own, fear of whatever. So, but I know what you're saying, Sarah, but there's a reason those 2 people, the reason they've got those suitcases is because they must have left you with some stuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a suitcase to give them. So my attitude is, you know, whatever's in those suitcases was left with you. and you have a right to give it back and let it go and put that thought out of your
Okay.
mind. I know it sounds harsh, and I sometimes think we feel we should be guilty or feel guilty about something. Put it out of your mind. There's a reason why there were those 2 suitcases with you, and you're better off not carrying their stuff. And that's my thinking. We're all free to be, and you know, I don't know, it'll be a minute from now, 2 minutes from now, when you suddenly realise you're thinking about something else entirely, and any feelings of guilt you might have will be gone, replaced by that feeling of freedom and unconditional self-love. I'm just a hypnotist. That's just a suggestion.
Thanks, Freddie.
Try not to think about it. Find you cannot. All right. Okay. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed this evening. It's been great seeing you all as usual. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week and you had to put up with Nick for the whole evening. But that's just the way it goes now and again. All right. So yeah. Anyway, we've got Nick back. He's on the mend, and so I can't wait for him to be fully up to speed. And then who knows where we're going with this? You know, we'll be looking at having some retreats, some live retreats in somewhere in the world. And I'd love to think some of you end up on those retreats with us, and we get to meet you in person and do this work together. It'd be great. It's lovely to see you, Diana Whitley. I'm saying Diana Whitley because we've got a few Dianas here. It's lovely to see you again. I hope everything's good with you. You look great, I have to say. So I hope it's great there in Las Vegas. And
It is.
yeah.
And I've been just really busy lately. So I guess it's good for me. Thanks.
It's great. It's really good. It's great. And I'm sure it's a little bit warmer than it is here. It's about 4 degrees below here at the moment.
It's about 60 here, which is cool for us.
What was it? How much is it?
I think I'll look at my phone. I think it's about 60, which of course is cool for us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
64.
75 in Florida.
Yeah, okay. Keep
We're
rubbing
wearing
it.
jackets and hats and gloves at 60.
Yeah,
well, not
rub it-
gloves.
Rub it in as much as you can. Yeah.
Sunny
Anyway,
day in
look.
Tasmania.
All right. Well, look. See you all again soon. And stay well. Be happy. All right. See you soon. Take
Thank you,
care.
Freddie.
Thanks, Freddie.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good to see you, Veronica.